I can't say good morning this morning because it's not. In fact, it's awful, and it's a day I wouldn't normally bother to go out. But the fact is that I've helped our local council organise a ride day, a cycling ride day, and going to have various activities on. And myself, Ian and Grant were going to be leading 2 family rides today. Now, I doubt very much the families are going to turn up because we're expecting thunderstorms later and 40-mile-an-hour winds. Part of our route takes us through the National Trust Belton Park, and myself and Mike Ainsworth have been working with the Woodland Trust and National Trust to get some arrangement for us to ride through the park, which they were reluctant to do to start with. And we're going to hope to do those on a monthly basis, but today was going to be through that very park. But Sacha, who's very kindly going to give us a couple of talks today, or was planning to, has said that they may have to close the park. I think it's if the wind reaches 41 or 42 miles an hour, they'll be closing the park. So that's another hurdle. But the fact is, somebody could turn up. And in fact, I know that the usual suspects will be there because they're going to turn out just to support us. But other than that, I don't think the great general public will be turning up. But what we'll do, we'll go and have a look at what's going on. We'll have a talk to SKDC's leisure officer, Beth, and we'll see how the day goes. I was just musing on that part of the ride on the shared cycle path because there was a crash near their car and a lorry, I think it was, just last week, and I know they've cleared all the glass off the road but not off the cycle path, and that just about sums up the attitude towards cycling from the authorities. Now, knowing SKDC, if I did ask them to clear it, they would, but really we shouldn't have to be doing that. It should be just second nature. I'm also taking the opportunity today to continue my test of the Pro 2 camera from Chilitech. Now, this will work better in low light, so I'm running that and the old Mark 1 next to each other, and in a later video I'll be doing a comparison so you can actually see how it goes. At the moment it's quite sunny, but that could change later, so hopefully we'll get some low light footage as well. I'm using the Ribble CGR ALE e-assist today, partly because I can carry more kit in the carrier at the back, but also going home will be uphill into a 40-mile-an-hour headwind, so that e-assist is going to come in really handy. And as I say, if you've got it, use it. Good morning.
Hello.
I'm going to be the first to christen it.
Maybe, look at that.
Morning. Hi Aaron, how are you?
Loving the socks. You got it. Saturday, I think.
Lengthways, that way.
So, I think it's the same size as that one, so I'm not sure where the logo is.
One of the things I'm hounding SKDC about in Tyre Beth is cycle parking in this market square in Grantham. It's an ancient market square and we definitely need some cycle parking here. Now Beth's working very hard to get some. I must admit I was a little bit harsh to start with, because I said, well, if you want us to organise this ride, you've got to do something for us. And in fairness to Beth, she's worked hard to try and help us. We'll see what happens. But today, Beth has actually organised some temporary cycle parking for the day. They're actually putting a couple more up. Not sure we'll be using those, but at least they've tried. In fact, my CGR frame is the extra small, and its feet aren't even touching the ground. And the man who supplied the racking is this fella, it's Steve.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. So you've come all the way from Leeds with these racks?
We have, yes. We do have a local stockist, but she was busy today.
Oh, right.
Because this is our busiest period, is June and July.
Right. It's interesting because it's not a business I would have thought existed until today.
Me neither, until 8 years ago.
Right. So what made you get into it?
Well, the Tour de Yorkshire came literally a kilometre away from my house, and I went to see it, and I got talking to one of the motorcycle outriders.
Yeah.
He knew what I was doing, actually manufacturing these. And then he said, could he hire some for a corporate event he was putting on over at the Devonshire Arms in Yorkshire, near Bolton Abbey. So I lent him 10, which was all I had in stock. And that was the start of it. It's just grown from there. So it's gone from now having 10 racks to, crikey, must be in excess of 500.
That's amazing. Right.
With all the group, you know.
Yeah.
So
well, what I'll do, Steve, is I'll put a link in this video to your business, because I'm sure people would be quite interested to know about this.
yeah, well, as I say, it's grown simply because it fits a niche.
It does.
You know. We've built everything on demand. We've not decided to build hundreds.
Yeah.
We just every time a new job comes in that's more than we've got, we say yes, and then set to and make some more.
And do you sell them at all, or do you just rent?
Absolutely, yeah.
You sell them as well?
In fact, we were just talking to the gentleman there. We supplied some to the National Trust this week.
Right.
We're a supplier of theirs. That was over at Ickworth in Norfolk. Clumber Park up the road, they have a load at the bike hub there.
Yeah.
And we've got the Hard Rock Mountain Bike Festival up in Yorkshire next week. And nearly every bike manufacturer and what have you that have demonstration bikes use our racks.
Fantastic.
Simply because they're easy to set up, they're lightweight, they're reasonably priced, and you know they can hold any amount of bikes.
And I'm liking the messaging on the back of the Spartan van. Now, I complain about SKDC not being too supportive of cycling, but they did support us with these stickers, and I arranged these, supplied very kindly by Active Lincolnshire. And these are now on all of the commercial vehicles that are owned by SKDC. This is Beth Goodman, and Beth is the leisure officer for SKDC.
Correct.
What's your background in sport, Beth?
Well, my background, I do all sorts really. I'm just one of those people that just does a little bit of everything, but yeah, I just love it.
Sport-wise, though, you were a footballer.
Footballer, we used to play for Leicester City and Notts County.
Right.
So yeah, massively into sports and just being out and about and getting active really.
Right.
Yeah, and professionally, like obviously I was working as basically leisure management, so in the leisure centres. But now here I am,
here you are,
trying
and
to encourage physical activity.
You've really brought a breath of fresh air, I think, to SKDC on that side of things.
Thank you.
And I'm really impressed with the way you're working, and this is why we want to support you.
Up Broadband have currently sponsored the event as well. So we've got a £200 gift voucher for Cliff Edge Cycles based in Wyndham Park, which is where the rides will be finishing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've kindly sponsored our event today as well. I actually think it's starting to rain now.
Yeah.
So
is it? Well, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
What we've done though, I mean, we might be struggling with the families coming to ride with us today, but we've brought in some of the regular suspects. And Ian has turned up. Ian's helping
Morning,
me
Ian.
lead the rides. We might be just leading each other, Ian.
Hopefully we get some.
We might just play cover somewhere, like a nice coffee shop or something.
Or a pub.
A pub.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Beth. I wish you luck.
Thank you very much.
We'll do our best.
Just need the people.
We do.
Yeah.
But I'm sure
thank you very much
we'll
for
be
the
fine.
support.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
Cheers. Aaron Benson of the Woodland Trust.
Yes, I'm the Community Development Officer for the Woodland Trust on the Reconnecting Grantham project, which is a project in partnership with the National Trust on the London, Thorpe and Belmont sites.
And you're responsible for that fantastic new cycle path that we will be using later on.
Yes, it went in about 18 months ago, nearly 2 years, and we're hoping that it will encourage more people to use the site by bike.
Yeah. Because you've been very influential in helping the National Trust come to a decision to allow us to cycle through there in groups, we're going to make this a monthly ride at your request. And so that will take in the woods and Belton Park, which is great. So we appreciate your help on that very much.
You're welcome. We need to reconnect all of Grantham with their cycle lanes and make sure that people can come from the centre of Grantham all the way through to London Thorpe, all the way through to Belton.
We've got leisuresk.co.uk and we have Rachael.
Hello.
So Rachael, what are you doing here?
We are here today to promote activity and exercise. So we operate the leisure centres across the district, Grantham, Bourne, Stamford, and just about getting people to be active, having those conversations about moving more and generally helping their health and well-being.
Right.
We are cyclists. We do classes in our centres that include cycling. So just the benefits of general exercise, but why cycling particularly is good for you, getting out in the fresh air. A bit windy today, but you know, still a lovely place to cycle around here. Lincolnshire roads are very open, green spaces. You can get some quiet tracks, beautiful scenery. Yeah. So why wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, there is a darker side in that I'm the local Cycling UK advocate.
Yes.
And one thing I'm campaigning for is, for example, here, SKDC have had to bring in cycle parking for the day.
Yes, we are missing cycle racks in quite a lot of towns.
We have no cycle parking to speak of.
Yep.
Also, we're not joined up in terms of cycling infrastructure. So we're working hard on that. And I'm hoping with the new councillors within SKDC, there might be some change of heart.
Absolutely.
So
yes, that would be very encouraging to see if that would happen.
So what have we got here then today?
So today we've brought a bike with us because obviously it's a cycling event. We're going to let people have a go on them, see how they feel. We'll talk about the benefits of doing classes and then we'll talk about the conversations for the aqua cycling, which we do at Stamford. Bikes in the water are less impact on the joints, so therefore can be
Bikes in the water?
In the water, yes. You ought to come and have a go.
My bike's been in the water, but not intentionally.
No, these are intentionally designed to go in the water. We have you mostly submerged, so you can do different exercises. Whereas like you turn up the resistance, you can pretend you're climbing hills, you can make it harder. There's no resistance change on the bikes in the water. However, you can come off the back of the bike, you can be pedalling along and you can use your arms. Right. So you can be cycling in a different way.
So I'm guessing like people with knee problems, that sort of thing, it's going to be ideal.
Because it's less impact on the joints, the water being weight bearing, it can be good for people with injuries. We do have people on our exercise on prescription scheme who we can actually recommend to that, so they're not missing out on the joys of cycling because they really can't take part in classes.
So Ricky, you're a spin instructor?
I'm an indoor cycling instructor, in fact.
Right, so we can't say spin.
No, indoor cycling because we cycle to the beat, so it's done to music. So so we got different music, different levels. So you adjust the resistance according to the music, or sometimes if the music is going really fast, we sprint with less resistance, or we go into hill climbs, follow the beat, 1, 2, 1, 2, and we change position nice and straight, cord nice and tight. Yeah, it's nice. This is one of the bikes actually. It's one of the stage bikes.
Show us how it works.
How it works. I'll show you how it works actually.
Because if anyone can do it, you can.
Yeah, I haven't got my proper indoor cycling shoes, but that's fine. So it's all set for me, you know, everything is set for me actually. But here's the resistance. So we adjust the resistance. At the moment it's really nice and light. So, and then obviously we got the dials here, and it gave us stats like watts and RPM, and all the battery's there. But it gives the stats here, like...
You had one job to do, Ricky, charge the battery.
Charge the battery, it just happened. Last minute though. Okay, so here obviously, let's see, I'm in front, I got the class in front of me, and we're just gonna warm up, the music is playing. I say, okay guys, hands to the back, nice to warm up, add a little bit of resistance, and then we just go. Okay, so the music 1, 2,
Yeah,
1, 2, and
beat
slowly we build up the intensity.
Yeah.
So we got different blocks. We got like a warm up, then we got like a sprint section or a climb or jump. So we go up and down according to the music. So I'm going to change the resistance now, and I'm going into a standing position. So I go 3, 2, 1, and now I'm coming up.
And then you have them stand. And how long does the session last?
It depends. So we got 45-minute sessions.
Yeah.
But if people can take it easy. If someone needs to do 30 minutes and leave, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's for all levels. Now you got like, we usually have the front row and the middle row, the guys that just going for it, and then you got someone that stays at the back of the studio, and they take it easy. It's for all levels. If they can't stand, they can sit and just follow the music. And
apart from the 2 family rides, there's a 30-mile cafe ride. That's being led by Witham Wheelers, the local cycling club. And here we have Suzanne.
Hi.
And Suzanne's leading.
I am.
So that's good. So do you lead regular rides, Suzanne?
Yes. I started a Saturday social ride probably about 8 or 9 years ago, and that's very popular with just as a sort of a no-drop cafe ride, social kind of thing.
Yeah. So you like us, you don't leave anyone behind.
No, we don't.
And it's a good intro to the club, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Some people use it as a stepping stone onto the faster rides on a Sunday, and some people are just happy, or they're not available on a Sunday, so they come out on a Saturday. So
That's
it works really
good.
well.
Yeah, so today you're doing a 30-miler, I think, aren't you?
Yeah.
Out to the cafe.
Yeah.
Where are you going to?
Well, the planned route is to go to the side house in Claypole, but I was kind of reserving my judgment a little bit on the weather, and if it looks a bit sketchy, I thought we could cut it a little bit short and go to the Alpaca Cafe in Dry Donington. So I'm kind of going to take a view once we're out on the road.
You're going to have a headwind on the way back.
Yeah.
Now, I always organise my rides into wind, so I have a tailwind coming back, but you're a hardier lot, you see.
Well, that's what I do, but I didn't organise this ride.
No. There's not a lot you can do now.
No.
So I hope you have a good time.
Thank you.
You've obviously got some of your regular suspects here from Witham Wheelers. And this is a beast of a bike. It's a Ribble.
Yeah, Ribble Ultra SLR.
Right.
So I've had it about 9 months now.
Yeah.
So it's the first big ride was Ride London. I should do that on it. And then last week I took an aero racing bike, 5,500 feet climbing in Wales. So it proved quite well. So it did the job.
Yeah. I would imagine it's pretty light.
9 kilos.
9 kilos?
9 kilos, yeah. Because I think it weighs more because of the aerodynamic side of it.
Right.
But in winter, it's going away, stripped down, painted in a different colour. Because the paint adds quite a lot of weight. Right. Because if you look at the paint, it's like a glitter colour shift.
Right.
So in the sun, not that you can really tell, but
no, that's
change the colours.
Yeah, that's very neat.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but the downside for it adds a lot of weight to the bike.
And with these deep rims, does it act up in the wind?
Every day.
Yeah. So you're going to have a problem today, 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, you're constantly fighting it, but there's only way I can get the bike faster. So because you can't buy them outright, you've got to build to order. So as soon as you put your order in, they start the build process. But because of COVID, with that short on bike parts and wheels, if you want your bike faster, you have to spec it with things that you probably wouldn't normally go for. So like the 80mm deep wheels, I wouldn't spec it with them, but I got the bike, I think 4 months faster.
Right.
So our new wheels are incoming.
Excellent.
So there'll be some different wheels for hopefully by the end of this year. But we'll see how we get on today.
Well, thanks, Lewis. Thanks for showing us the groups, I think, getting ready to go. So you probably need to get on your way. Have a good day.
No, we'll do.
And good luck.
Yeah, cheers, thank you.
I've now been joined by Helen from Cycle Lincolnshire. So tell me about Cycle Lincolnshire, Helen.
Hello there. Yeah, so Cycle Lincolnshire is the legacy to Cycle England. And basically we have created 4 long-distance cycle routes to be enjoyed over 4 or 5 days holiday. And we've also produced 15 shorter distance routes for daily rides. And today I've come along with our stately homes of South Lincolnshire, as it includes rides around the stately homes, and Belton House is where everyone's going to be cycling to today. The leaflet opens up into a map, and we have QR codes for the GPX files.
Fantastic.
So anybody that's interested in cycling in Lincolnshire, please go on our website, cycle-lincolnshire.com.
Okay, and I'll put a link to that in the description to the video, Helen.
Much appreciated.
So have a good day.
Have a good ride out today.
Thanks. I did tell you not to organise it in Wimbledon week. Here comes Grant.
Oh, good weather for it. Where'd she go?
So
Busy as well.
I don't think we're going to get many takers for the family ride. I'm not sure we'll even do the family ride.
Well, you're actually going to carry on the ride with us, are you?
I don't think there's going to be many people
The
there.
30-mile ride's gone out.
Sorry?
The 30-mile ride's already gone.
Yeah. We've just taken a vote. We've just taken a vote, and we've said it's only because nobody's turning up. There only needs to be one leader, and that's going to be you.
I've got wrong kit on. I've got the day kit.
That's all right. Don't worry.
Don't worry, it's not guided. It's not guided.
There'll be nobody to treat, Grant. So don't worry. Well, we managed to make it to Belton Park between the rain, spitting a little bit, but we're just having a coffee stop, and then we're going to meet the ranger Sacha, who's going to tell us all about the deer park. So here we are in Belton Park. We've had our coffee and sustenance.
Yes.
And we've now got Sacha, and Sacha is, well, you're a ranger.
I'm a ranger.
So you're going to give us a quick talk.
Yes, welcome to Belton, guys. Very happy to have you guys here again. I hope you've stayed dry today, even though you probably haven't this morning. I'm just going to give you a brief history about the house and the park, and then we can discuss the wildlife, and as Roy said, we'll probably talk about deer, although they're not handily just there as they were last time. The house was built between 1685 and 1688, so that took 3 years. So they don't make anything like they used to. That's a true phrase now, I think. And it was commissioned by Sir John Brownlow and his wife Alice. He gathered all the master craftsmen of the time here to build that wonderful structure you can see. It's made of Ancaster stone, which is a very local material. It comes from Ancaster Village, just down the way. So yeah, a lot of the land surrounding Belton is limestone, so that's why it's that nice light colour. It's also certain points of the day, particularly sunrise, sunset, when the light hits that house, it's a beacon, and it's absolutely beautiful, which leads me on to the park. You'll see we've got nice little plantations of trees all through the park. That was designed by William Eames as a landscape designer, sort of along the lines of Capability Brown and that sort of crowd. Every single tree you see out there was planted in that specific place as a sight line, so it draws your eye to the house. Wherever you are in the park, there's something drawing your eye back to certain points on the estate, mainly the house. We've also got our folly, which you can't see, which is Belmont Tower on top of the hill over Five Gates Road. And I didn't remember when it was built last time, Roy, but I actually wrote it down today, so I can remember. So that was built in 1751 by the Viscount Tyrconnell, and that was used as an observatory and also somewhere he could take esteemed guests up to and go, behold, all my land, it's everywhere. Everywhere you can see is mine. And that's also why the roof of the house is flat, so he could take people up and go, everything you can see, I own it. Isn't that great? So yeah, it's all about showing off and showing off your wealth. And that's another reason we actually have the parkland and the deer park. So venison has long since been seen as this very rich and wealth, sort of something tied to wealth. So if you have your own deer park, you're doing pretty well for yourself. 1690, the park was enclosed, so you had to get special permission from the king at the time. And he gave them permission, so they enclosed the park. And the deer running about today, they are the ancestors of that original bloodline that was enclosed. So as are most of the wild deer around here, they all have some sort of genetic tie to the deer we have here. The only ones that don't have that genetic tie are the white ones. We brought them in from a property in Norfolk in 2018 to add some more genetics to the herd. And also, historically, we did have white deer here, but they were all poached out. So we wanted to bring them back and bring that bring that coloration back into the herd. So we now have the 4 colour variations of fallow deer here at Belton, and that's you've got the white ones, which are the new blood, with the which are sort of a lovely sort of toffee brown colour with white spots. They're very little black on them at all. You've got the common colours, which is in the summer is a lovely chestnut brown with the white spots, and they have a black tail. And then you have the melanistics, which are the really deep chocolatey brown colour. They look almost black, and in their summer coat especially, when the sun's hitting them, they are very, very dark black colour, and they're absolutely beautiful. I love all the colours, they're all wonderful. We have a lovely mix. We need some more white ones, but we're getting there. We've had a few white fawns.
And you were telling me last time, Sacha, that the white ones aren't albino.
No, the white ones are not albino. It's the coloration, technically it's called leucistic. So you get leucistic animals across all species. Only true albinos have the red eyes, and ours don't have red eyes, they're just leucistic. Just means they lack pigment instead of they have no pigment at all. So you can get leucistic pheasants, leucistic blackbirds. You can actually see leucistic blackbirds, which make them white birds, but there you go. We have a lovely big park for them to run about in. It's about 1,300 acres that the deer can access. They can go anywhere they want. So sometimes if you come here early in the morning, they'll be in the car park. We have a group of bucks that hang out on the oval. This is where they are. They'll sort of wander down here at about 5 o'clock in the evening, and they'll sit on the cricket pitch. They don't care if the cricketers are there playing. They're still going to sit there. This is their spot, and that's when they come down. Deer is a big passion of mine. It's something I'd like to move on to at some point, so I'm in a good place to do that.
You are. And you were also telling us that you don't feed them.
No, we are the only National Trust deer park that do not feed their deer. So we don't supplementary feed in the winter, and it's simply because we have so much space and so many different sort of habitats for them to go and forage on. They have enough food, so we don't feed them. Historically, the reason we didn't feed them is because Lord Brownlow was a bit tight. He didn't like spending money on things he didn't have to, so he thought, I'll leave them to it, they can feed themselves, and it's actually helped us massively, because feeding deer can be quite expensive. So we have 2 avenues here at Belton. We have East Avenue, which is very historic. Most of the trees on there are about 200 years old. They're lovely. And you may notice the avenue on the South Drive, which you're about to cycle down, it doesn't look as sort of ancient and spectacular. So originally that was an avenue of elms, and obviously we had Dutch elm disease come along in the 80s, and it just decimated it. So it was felled and planted again. And for some reason, the Trust decided, we'll plant turkey oaks here. Nobody knows why, that's just what they did. It's the only turkey oak avenue in the entire Trust. Maybe they were sort of massive forward thinkers and thought the climate's going to warm, turkey oaks will deal better with it. Or they ordered the wrong species, we don't know. They might have asked for an English oak. So that would have been the main avenue then into the... Yes, so this is the main entrance. It's exactly a mile from the front of the house to the line gates. And it's a rather wonderful view.
Strava segment.
We'll make it one. I'm sure the National Trust will be delighted.
So there's 2 lines of turkey oaks and then a line of limes on each side as well.
Right.
So yes.
And what other wildlife is there here?
Well, we've got all sorts. Part of my job is to manage the wildlife surveying volunteers. I also do surveys myself. So we survey for birds, odonata, which is damselflies and dragonflies, wax caps, which are little mushrooms in the autumn, and we also do one more, of course, butterflies, which start in April and end in September. So butterfly seasons have been very odd in the last couple of years because we've had very cold winters and very hot summers, and we also have had it warm very quickly and then get cold again, so particularly this spring. So we had a lot of emergence quite early on, then we had that cold snap and it killed them all off. So stuff like the peacocks, numbers have been down. Species variety has been very slow, so the more species you see, it tends to be a lot later than it usually is. So it's only just now, we're sort of well into the season and we're starting to get a bit more diversity species-wise. Bird-wise, we're really rich here. We've got loads, especially winter migrants. I mean, the number of redwing that came in this winter was absolutely spectacular. I mean, covering the ground, it looked like the ground was moving. There was that many on there. We have all 3 species of woodpecker that breed in the UK. We have all 3 here, including the lesser spotted, which is incredibly rare. It's thought to be only 200 breeding pairs in the UK left, and we've got, I think, definitely 1 pair, maybe another pair, we're not sure. but they're incredibly hard to see, so it's mainly you hear them in February when the males start drumming. And we do have breeding kingfisher here. We've got a pair up on the lakes and the pond in the gardens at the moment, and we have a pair on the river, and I believe we also have a pair on the ponds too. So we do have lots of kingfishers, but again, they're one of them sort of flash of blue and they're gone. So it's quite hard to survey them, but they are about. Our volunteer photographer did manage to get a rather nice photograph of one, which I was slightly green looking at, but there you go.
Good. Well, thank you, Sacha.
No problem.
That has been really, really interesting. Right, we'll get on our way and we'll ride down that 1 mile track to the Lion Gates.
And enjoy the view as it sort of appears in front of you, and keep an eye out for the kingfisher.
Yeah. Thanks, Sacha.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was interesting. I hope you don't mind me leaving all of Sacha's talk in, because I think it was worthwhile. Now we're heading down that 1 mile drive to the Lion Gates. Now, cyclists aren't normally allowed to do this, but we've negotiated with the National Trust and they've agreed that we can do it on an agreed basis. We're going to do it once a month as a guided ride. As you can probably hear, it's blowing up quite a lot. Going to have a headwind ride on the way back, but Wendy's got the furthest to go, but she's on electric, so at least she's got some support. It's some very ominous looking clouds, so we're going to head back and try and get to some shelter. We're now in the visitor centre at Wyndham Park. Sharon here is laying on free tea and coffee and biscuits, so we're going to enjoy that.
Oh, lots of biscuits.
And then we're going to wait for another blue patch before we head back again. What have you got, about 12 miles to do, Wendy, from here?
Probably,
Yeah.
Not far.
Now we're just heading back to the marketplace. I don't think our 1:30 ride is going to be happening. Yes, the Fiat Doblo is kicking out some smoke. Quicker by bike.
Oh, nice. There's a challenge. I can usually stand.
I haven't got the hips for it.
Oh, so it's not me, it's Steve. So it's definitely is.
Definitely the who.
That's fine, we can all say we can now, we just say yeah.
One of the reasons that they wanted to hold this event today is to try and regenerate some interest in the market, because this used to be a really, really thriving market, but now it's just a shadow of its former self. Of course, the weather's not helping, but I think stall holders are going to other markets like Bingham, Stamford. Well, that was a pretty awful day weather-wise, and it's a shame it didn't all go to plan, but you can't plan for the weather. But we made the most of it. We had a good day, managed not to get too wet. I'm now heading towards my usual nemesis of a hill as I approach home, trying to beat the showers. But the good thing today is I've got e-assist, so I'm loving it. So anyway, thanks for joining us today. Now obviously we couldn't do as much riding today, so I thought I'd use the time to have a chat with some of the people involved in sport and recreation in Grantham. So I hope you don't mind that, and hopefully we'll have some more riding videos next time. So until then, I'll say goodbye and thanks for joining us.